get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you. So glad you can be with us, whether you're listening at www.behindenemylinesradio.us, if you're listening on any one of our rebroadcast outlets, wherever you may be, in the AM, FM, internet, airwaves, cyberspace, whatever it may be, or if you've downloaded this as a podcast and we're traveling along with you wherever you are, we're glad to be along for the ride. Got a great show for you tonight. John Preston, a good friend of ours, Marine veteran, great person all around, talented man, crazy talented, coming on the show to discuss his latest work, and we're going to be releasing his newest song, Superman Falls. We got the story behind the song. If this segment doesn't wrench at your gut, nothing will. It means that you're heartless, and I don't even know if I want to talk to you. But John will be here later, and we'll be talking about his journey, recapping that, and talking a little politics, and especially talking about all the work he's been doing lately in contributing to his calling, really, to help veterans with PTSD and what he contributes to society. And folks, let me tell you something. If you've never heard John Preston or his music, you're in for a treat. I'm telling you right now. Tune in right in the middle of the show. It's a great segment. One of the best interviews we've ever done here on the show. And darn it all if John isn't the only man that can get me emotional on air. And you'll hear that as well. But before we get to all that, I finally have something of a grievance to discuss with you all. Probably my first grievance with the Trump administration. It was bound to happen sooner or later. Listen, I may support the president, and I am definitely I'm in the column of wanting to make America great again, without a doubt. I don't want any liberal, progressive, deep state movement anywhere. I've been supportive of his Supreme Court selections. I've reveled in the new numbers of job creation that has come out in recent days. But I do have a bone to pick with the president. And I'm going to pick it this week. Listen, for those of you out there who are just a blind supporter of anyone, whether it be Barack Obama, Donald Trump, your favorite celebrity, whatever, I got to tell you, you got to open your eyes to what people really are and not what you wish them to be. I understand fanboying, fangirling over whatever. But in politics, that's a very dangerous thing. That's a cult of personality. It's something that we all fought for 8 years. With Barack Obama, a man who had never held an executive office, who got elected because he could speak well and present himself very, very well. I mean, let's face it, the man had a following because he was very articulate. He still is. He's articulate, he's likable, and he was bringing about an optimism that progressives seem to like. But we need to avoid cults of personality on our side of the aisle. We had it. Listen, Ted Cruz is a perfect example of that type of cult of personality. And Donald Trump and his populist movement within, the conservative sphere, definitely something that we have to be vigilant about and watch out for. And my main bone of contention is not so much the calling for the resignation of some 40-some-odd U.S. attorney holdovers, AUSAs, assistant U.S. attorneys holdovers throughout the country, but particularly how he treated the assistant U.S. attorney from the Southern District of New York, Preet Bharara. Now, let me just say this from the outset. I know Preet Bharara is a scion of Chuck Schumer. I know he's from that Schumer camp, and there's been many, many politicians, especially within the People's Republic of New York City, who came from that ilk. And I'm not really going to go into that part of things here, mainly because it's irrelevant to the discussion, because I believe that Preet has earned the right to be called his own man outside of any influence that Chuck Schumer had on him early on. And listen, we'll definitely bring that up, but I definitely feel like it's something that is a red herring argument when it comes to Preet Bharara in this situation. Catch you up on the situation. Preet Bharara, an assistant U.S. attorney from the Southern District of New York, that's basically Manhattan and some areas upstate in the People's Republic of New York. He was a U.S. attorney who was known for his crusade, really, against political corruption in New York State and New York City. And he went after both sides of the aisle. I mean, I know that Preet is an Indian American from India, not Native American. But the man had more scalps on his wall than just about any Indian war you can think of. Just to go through what he accomplished as far as convictions. Some of these names may not be known to you outside of the People's Republic of New York, but we're talking about the Speaker of the Assembly who was around for decades, Sheldon Silver. We're talking about the Majority Leader of the New York State Senate, Dean Skelos, a Republican, by the way. They were part of the quote-unquote 3 men in the room that would discuss all the budgetary issues annually with whoever the governor may be, whether it was Andrew Cuomo or David Paterson or Elliot Spitzer for that week and a half that he was there, or whatever it was. They were the guys in the room making all the major decisions and then getting their people to fall in line after the deals were hashed out behind closed doors. And he got them both for different corruption scandals. From Thomas Libas in the Senate, Nicholas Spano, again, Republican, Democrat, my own state senator at the time, Carl Kruger, Hiram Montserrat, a Bronx Democrat, and Pedro Espada, who at one point was the president of the Senate. Preet got after it, man. He took out more politicians than any voter could have. And he did so by using the investigatory powers of his office and by pursuing them zealously and doing it with a disregard for the ideology that they were espousing at the time. Preet Bharara got things done. His record proves it. And I think that's why on November 30th at Trump Tower, during the transition period, then President-elect Donald Trump had a meeting with Preet Bharara. And out of that meeting, according to Preet in the press conference inside Trump Tower, the president told him that he would like him to stay on as assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. I heralded it as great news, positive news, great bipartisan effort by the transition team to keep someone on like that. An Obama appointee, a holdover from that administration, it just says that Donald Trump cares more about results than he does about party. And that would have been a great storyline throughout his administration. But then recently, last week, the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, sends out a letter to all holdover AUSAs saying that we demand your resignation. Now, listen, there's nothing really illegal or immoral about this. There's nothing groundbreaking here. When you are appointed by the president, you serve at the pleasure of the president. I get that. I think everybody gets that. But the two things don't jibe. Saying that you want to hold over Preet Bharara and then demanding his resignation, it's contrary messages, especially absent any sort of reasoning behind it. I mean, Donald Trump went out of his way to keep this guy on and is now just dismissing him summarily with some 40 other AUSAs for no apparent reason whatsoever? Doesn't make sense. Not the slightest bit of sense. So Preet Bharara decided that he was not going to tender his resignation based upon the representation of the then president-elect that he was to stay on. And then the next day on the weekend, he was fired. Again, it makes no sense. I'm not taking issue with whether the president had the power to do so. I think that's clear. All these people, these appointees, they serve at the pleasure of the president. No doubt about it, not an issue. Put it aside, I agree with that. My issue is, what Donald Trump is doing is really a misstep politically. And it makes him seem like, even to supporters like me, erratic, irrational, inconsistent, and a person who goes back on his word. Now, to me, loyalty is a big deal. I have loyalty to people beyond the point that I should sometimes. I mean, you can go back into just my legal career alone and see that. Loyalty is a big deal to me. So when a president-elect says, you're going to stay on, I take that to mean you're going to stay on, absent some sort of additional reasoning that I shouldn't stay on. If Preet Bharara had done something to displease the president, should have been known. It shouldn't have been summarily lumped in with other holdovers. I think we're owed an explanation. And thus far, the president hasn't given one. Not that he owes me an explanation, but I think he owes the record an explanation. Because, again, Preet Bharara, in a press conference after meeting with the president, said, I'm being held over. Donald Trump didn't dispel that, didn't refute that, didn't confront that the way that he confronts other quote-unquote fake news or other quote-unquote lies. So, to me, that infers that Donald Trump authorized that statement. So what happened? What did Preet Bharara do from November 30th to last week that changed the president's mind? I think the president really messed this up. And here's why I think he messed it up. President Trump lost an opportunity for bipartisan support. If he would have held over Preet Bharara, it could have been an example of him reaching to the other side of the aisle. A scion of Chuck Schumer being held on in a very important position because of the work that he was doing. Listen, Preet Bharara was in progress of investigating the mayor of the People's Republic of New York City, Bill de Blasio, and the governor of the People's Republic of New York State, Andrew Cuomo, for corruption. Now, while I'm sure those investigations will go on, they will not go on with the same zeal and professionalism and ethics of Preet Bharara. I just don't see it happening. And the reason why I see that happening is because this is of another reason why this is a misstep. Preet Bharara engendered not only goodwill with the people in the People's Republic of New York City, he also created a very loyal cadre of attorneys in that office that were working for him and doing a lot of the things for him. Do you think that the Assistant U.S. Attorney's Office under the Obama administration had any conservatives or Republicans in that? Heck no. Come on. These are people who are going to be Democrat loyalists who were working really in a bipartisan way because Preet Bharara demanded it. He kept that office in line, and you saw the loyalty as, his staff and supporters lined up earlier this week to see him off after he was leaving his office for the last time on Monday. There was a lot of loyalty there. And I think the next appointee is going to have to fight for quite a few months, if not a year, to get the loyalty of that staff or whatever staff is put in there. And again, the staff is not going to be as seasoned going after corruption as this long line of success and track record that Preet Bharara created. Another reason that this is a bad move by the president is because President Trump has now created a Democrat martyr in a Democrat stronghold. A person who had really had bipartisan support and had treated his job as it should be treated, as sort of a public trust and answering to the public as a whole, not party loyalties. That man is now free to get political. He's now free to use this unusual firing in these circumstances of him being held over and the subsequent events as a calling to really rise again in a very strong partisan form now. Preet Bharara can be the Democrat Rudy Giuliani. He could be if he moves to New York City, he currently lives upstate. He could become a mayor. He can become the next governor with the race happening next year. Preet Bharara can really come back to really bite the Trump administration in the butt if he so chooses. And who knows what he's going to choose. But it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility for Preet Bharara to really rocket up into the Democrat progressive stratosphere. And it wouldn't have happened that way if Donald Trump would have kept him on and kept putting him to work for all the people in the People's Republic of New York. And of course, the biggest impact immediately anyway is you're going to see Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo are